joining us on your vacation. Since you're not in the studio, you don't know that we're actually starting with something different than what we talked about. We have breaking news, just got alerted from the New York Times, that they are trying to pierce the attorney-client privilege and go after one of Trump's attorneys in the document case to try to get him to testify. This is in the classified documents case that they still have going against Trump. You might have seen that alerted on your phone just now. But what's your reaction to this? Do you think that there's still momentum behind this case, given the fact that they're finding classified information at every former president, former vice president, former senator's house who seems to have left office in the last 20 years?
No, it's a good question, because I think the momentum the legal momentum is going to be different from the question of whether there's sort of a public momentum. Like the court of legal affairs is very different than the court of public opinion. The court of legal opinion versus the court of public opinion is a huge distinction. And to the extent that they also started looking for these documents in Joe Biden's different residence and the think tank, and then they went through Mike Pence's office and his residence, that was all motivated by the court of public opinion. It was really just like, hey, we need to see what's going on in case we end up, we end up in a really untenable situation. And in fact, they did find themselves in an untenable situation. Ryan, the other question I have for you is, I'm curious what you think about that same question, but also with the news today about the news in the last couple of days about what's happening in the case in Georgia, in Fulton County, where the prosecutor was, as we covered a couple weeks ago, wants to keep the grand jury testimony and the grand jury report basically under wraps until they're ready to release it. And we expect that she is going to indict Donald Trump.
Right, and all of this to me takes way too long. Like, what is everybody waiting for? Like, if you have the goods on somebody, just move on. And this thing where you're waiting, Merrick Garland taking 2 years to decide to move, and then at the last minute he punts it over to a special prosecutor, taking 2 years down in Georgia. I understand it takes a long time to interview witnesses, to collect information, to move forward. But you're right. It does seem like this is heating up. Just as we're kind of entering into the Republican nomination contest. And I think the problem for Trump here is that if you're looking at this from 30,000 feet away and you're not following this very closely, it does look like everybody's finding classified information, and maybe even this Georgia thing seems to kind of lump in there with it. But if you get into the details, Trump was the only one of all of these people who was actively monkeying around with people who were trying to get back the information. When it came to Pence,
he said, I unclassified the documents, right? Right.
No, he unclassified them all in his mind, right?
It's like Michael Scott, I declare bankruptcy.
Yes, exactly. He declared bankruptcy again. With Biden and Pence, their lawyers found it, and they immediately kind of reach out to the National Security Archives, or they reach out to the Department of Justice, say, hey, we found these classified information. With the other, it's like boxes are getting moved around. There's Mar-a-Lago is just a den of spies, which isn't exactly Trump's fault, but it's going to attract a whole bunch of foreign intelligence agencies who are going to try to penetrate that type of situation. So, for him to have just classified documents just kind of lying around or as trophies to kind of show off puts him in a different category than Trump. But then the Georgia thing, that's going to be wild, because that really is going back to something real, like his attempt to mess with the election in Georgia. What's your read on the Georgia prosecutor?
Yeah, but to your first question about the momentum, we have learned that Joe Biden had apparently classified documents. We don't know how classified. We don't know what they were about, in the garage next to his Corvette in a house that Hunter Biden was living in, apparently, and had access to. And so when Hunter Biden is engaged in really high-level foreign lobbying, where he's trading on his name and there's documents there, it does, whether or not, I think there are substantive reasons for concern in both the Trump and the Biden case, because presumably there are intelligence assets of foreign countries, both in Mar-a-Lago and around Hunter Biden, maybe even around Mike Pence. So there is a real substantive question. We still don't know the real nature of many of these documents, but that, I think, really does take some of the momentum away from this particular pursuit of Donald Trump. Now, the Georgia one, this is the most serious, I think, legal threat to Trump that I have seen in the last several years. I don't know about you, but to me, this is the one that actually carries weight. And so if it gets sort of tacked on to the ticky-tacky ones, I don't know that that's super helpful for the folks in Fulton County, Georgia.
Yeah, no, it's going to get exciting. We're gonna keep watching that. I think what they ought to do, just declassify all of the documents and then let everybody just decide, all right, who had the worst documents? And if it's the nuclear codes, redact the nuclear codes and also change your nuclear codes. Like best practices on nuclear codes. When you have a new administration, you do new nuclear codes, right? That's reasonable.
No,
right?
We can agree on that.
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Sagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.